Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. My first thought is we made it. And right now we're 18 days until Joe Biden is inaugurated, and those numbers keep going down. We're getting closer and closer to that just welcomed day. Oh, happy day. Now, this is My Left Ear, and I am Carrie Freeman. Welcome. I'm the writer, producer, director of My Left Ear, and mostly this is a site that's been about politics. Now, it's called My Left Ear because, as many people know now, I get information through my left ear. And I found out that this voice is female, so sometimes I say she, sometimes I say we, but it's both of us, my left ear and me. And this site is for entertainment purposes only. Now, starting off 2021, I want to do something different and creative and uplifting because there's some really messy stuff going on in politics right now. And I'm going to get to that. I'm going to do another video in the few days about that. So, but I know that all the other people that have YouTubes, that do tarot, that do astrology and commentary, you've got a lot of material right now. So I'm going to get into writing because I have gotten some requests from subscribers like, oh, I really would love it if you did, a show on writing. And I do have a lot of helpful tips. I've written 2 books. Some of you know the evidence book. And then I wrote this book called The Comic's Daughter, which is, I would call it a true crime memoir. But I'm not here to talk about it today. I just want you to see I put in the hard work. And it is hard work, people. So, but very gratifying, I want you to know. So here we go. To identify you to people who don't know me, I do psychic coaching. I've done therapeutic hypnosis for over 20 years, and I'm currently working with some subscribers, long distance. And I also coach writing and performance because I have a background. So thank you for any new subscribers. We just love it. Hit that button and please tell friends. Now, you may not be interested in writing, but you might have a friend that's interested in writing or a relative, because lots of people are interested in writing, want to write, and struggle with writing. I know. So the first thing I want to tell you is that I've had in my life tremendous writer's block, just crippling writer's block, where I know I've got something to say, I just can't get to it. And it took me years of classes and struggle and even hypnotherapy with my own hypnotherapist to get me to write something that had been with me, a story, since I was 13 years old. That is a whole other show to tell you how I arrived at writing this book. And it's kind of an interesting story, but we're not going to go there today. I want to make a contribution about writing that might help people. But I'm going to start with a quote. I'm going to end with quotes too, so never fear. But I found this quote that it seems like this perfect quote to start this, what do I call it, a tutorial? Sounds highbrow. I don't love tutorial, by the way. Just going to give you some advice, okay? Here, this is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou. She wrote, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you." And boy, can I attest to that personally. Now, here's my little intro. I'm going to mention a few books, not a lot, but a few books during this. You don't have to write them down. I will post them on my community page. I also want to say what I'm going to share with you today is a culmination of my own personal experience and discoveries, but also many classes and a few really great teachers along the way and a few books. And when I share some techniques, I'm going to give credit to the teachers because they deserve credit. And I have been plagiarized in my life by things I've written and quotes that I've said to, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I've been plagiarized, okay? It's not fun. It hurts like hell, and especially if it's someone you know. All right, so here we go. Here's where we're going to start with the advice. Now, the first one, you're going to go, oh no, this is so boring, but I'm going to try and make it unboring for you. I'm going to explain why it's important. So my first bit of advice is start a meditation practice. And my personal belief, Carrie's personal belief, is that you don't need to do it 20 minutes twice a day. Now, someone might come in and argue with me. There's people that is their whole business, meditation. This is my experience. If you can get yourself to sit down for 10 minutes, you're making a huge contribution to your subconscious mind and your creativity. Now, years ago, I took a class at UCLA, and I was struggling. It was a long time ago, and I was struggling with this idea that I could be a writer, and where did creativity come from? And so the class was called Zen and the Art of Creativity. So it really attracted me. And it was taught by two professors of psychology, but they were both Zen Buddhists. They were practicing Zen Buddhists. The man that impressed me the most, Ron, and I think he's Dr. Ron Alexander in Santa Monica. And so he shared something that I'm gonna put through my own processor. But this is essentially, so he described, this before I became a hypnotherapist and I had studied the subconscious mind. So this was like, wow. He got up there, and now I'm going to go into my own explanation of it, but this is kind of where it came from. There's two sides to the brain. Just think of this, really simple, two sides to the brain. And one side is very quiet and spiritual and intuitive. We all have that side. Then there's this other side that we're all very familiar, and I call this other side Mr. Yappy, because Mr. Yappy yaps at us all day long. All day long. And I think you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Yappy. Now, when we sit down and just focus on our breathing, the in and out, or the I am, and when our minds wander and we bring them back to the I am, we are quieting Mr. Yappy. Now, when Mr. Yappy kind of, he's like this, he starts to slow down, get quiet, this intuitive, creative side gets some exercise. It's like my metaphor is it's on a submarine, and the submarine comes up to the surface of the water, the periscope comes up and goes, oh my God, there's land, there's sunshine, there's a beach, there's water, gets some exercise. And when the meditation is over, they're equal. Mr. Yappy is not dominating. And if you make that a practice, you will be amazed. There's lots of scientific studies about the benefits of meditation. I'm just applying it to creativity right now and the subconscious mind. So let me just see if I wrote anything else. So it gives your creative juices oxygen. That's what I wrote. And then your subconscious will start telling you stuff because you're quieter. So you get accustomed to this pretty easily. And your whole day goes differently when you started out with maybe 10 minutes of meditation. And as you know, I have a meditation tape that I can offer people. I can sell it to you, but it's only 10 minutes. That's it. It's to get people comfortable with it. And if they sit down with my voice, they get comfortable with it. Now I'm going to move on. The biggest obstacle to writing is sitting down. And that comes from an author named Steven Pressfield. He wrote my favorite book on writing called The War of Art. Not the art of war, The War of Art. Like everything I enjoy and appreciate, it's a very simple book. It's so easy to read. You just open it up, and you can open it up almost anywhere. And he writes it for people that have resistance, and he does a very brilliant job of talking about resistance. So sitting down is actually very challenging, and staying there. So I have some suggestions and advice and tricks. I'm going to go into that. So you don't wait for the muse to show up and get you in the mood. You sit down and you invoke the muse. That's how it works. And some days are better than others. Some days there's a huge outpouring of creativity and ideas and writing, and some days not so much. But please know that it's normal. And probably on the days that we're not as productive or we're not accessing, there's processing going on. There's getting ready to spit it out, kind of like a computer. So now this one is the biggie, perfectionism. And it took me a long time to understand the deleterious effects of perfectionism. I'm not recommending this book because it's really dense and it's actually kind of painful, but it's called Trapped in the Mirror, and it's written by a psychologist, and it's about what it's like to be raised by a narcissist. And I was raised by a narcissist, a big one, not like Donald Trump, not as destructive as Donald Trump, but came with huge challenges. And what happens is that you grow up trying to please. You're trapped in the mirror is like I'm trapped in someone else's mirror, whether that's a parent or the teacher at school that I just can't get to notice me or approve of me. And then it comes with this need for approval, and you get trapped. And you can't break out of it, because if you write, you're going to write some bad pages. I don't think there's a writer or an author that would disagree with me that when you sit down to write, sometimes you just write some awful stuff, but there's usually a little glimmer in there and you can clean it up and work with it. And sometimes it's worthy of going, no, that's just not going to work at all. But you got to get rid of the perfectionism and get used to being messy. Being creative is messy. All of it. You try, you fail, you discover. Messy, messy, messy. So you want to really look at your own issues with perfectionism. I had to, and I'm still struggling with it, but this I know, and it doesn't keep me from writing. So here's an exercise. Simple. I want to say put on a timer for 12 minutes, something that will go off. And then sit down and just write some notes, doodle with a favorite idea. You can do it on a legal pad or you can do it on your computer, okay? No rules, whatever feels good to you. So you're just gonna maybe experiment with, what if you've got an idea for a little book or a big book? So you jot down some ideas for your chapters, or you have some characters in mind. Well, what might I may name them? And I'm gonna describe her or him. You're jotting. Or fix an existing sentence, or even look at a paragraph you just wrote. Or here's a good one. Think of what's pissing you off right now and write a paragraph about it, because almost everyone has something that's annoying them, and that'll get you writing. And then that alarm goes off, that timer goes off. It says stop. And most of the time, you will not want to stop. Okay, so the timer, all right? Because if you put the timer for 12 minutes, it's not threatening. You're not going, oh my God, I'm going into writing jail. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna come up with it? No, 12 minutes, and it's gonna get you going. Here's another piece of advice. Dance. Here's what I mean. Put on your favorite song, loud, and then walk around the office, the house, the apartment, and dance. Just dance. And when the song is over, sit down and start the writing process. Do what I just suggested too. Don't make it complicated. Don't make it overwhelming. Just dance and then sit down. Now I'm going to share with you one of the most valuable experiences of my writing life. And it happened at UCLA. I saw, because I was searching, you see, I saw a class on Saturday afternoons for 6 weeks, and the title of it, and I still think the title is one of the great titles of all time. And the class was called, If You Can Talk, You Can Write. Well, I just joined it immediately. I went, oh my God, that's brilliant. So showed up on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, UCLA, found the room, walked into the room, loved the classroom feeling with the desks. And I just kind of glanced around, and there's a woman kind of sitting in the back with no makeup and a hat on. And I went, oh my God, that's Michelle Pfeiffer. And so Michelle Pfeiffer was in this class for the entire 6 weeks. And she really made a point of being very unobtrusive. And I think her sister took the class with her. But I just will tell you, because I am a fan of Michelle Pfeiffer, I did not talk to her for 6 weeks. I just didn't. I just knew that it would have made her uncomfortable. But one day I pulled up to class late on Saturday, and she pulled up right next to me. We were both late for class. So we had to walk to class together. But I still didn't bring up her work or my admiration. Just talked about the writing exercises. I wanted her to feel comfortable. But on the last day, I did turn around. I go, okay, Michelle, this is the last day of class. And I waited because I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. And she was very gracious. So that was kind of thrilling. But the teacher, his name is Joel Saltzman. And he doesn't teach this anymore. And I got to know Joel pretty well. He was just a great guy, and he was so talented in teaching this class. But there was one exercise I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to post a video, so for those of you who never saw the movie or don't remember, so you can see what I'm talking about. One day we're in class, and he said, okay, we're going to do a writing exercise. He goes, how many people remember Kevin Costner's speech from Bull Durham? And of course, it was back then, so the movie was much fresher in everybody's mind, and almost everybody had seen it. It was a big hit. Then everybody raised their hand. So he said, okay, you remember the I Believe speech that he does to Susan Sarandon? And he goes, yeah. Well, get out your pad, get out your pen. I'm going to put the timer on, and you're going to write I believe for a minute without stopping. Do not let the pen leave the paper. And of course, panic, everybody got panicked. And I remember starting it, I might still have it, I didn't look. I don't know what to write. I feel like I'm on the freeway and I'm pumping the gas and it won't stop. And it just, that was another exercise. Oh my God, I misspoke. The I Believe, I can't remember how it started, but I remember when I got my paper back from Joel, because I remember writing, I believe everyone thinks they make the best spaghetti sauce. And he circled that, and he loved that. And then I wrote, I believe the most inexpensive gift is an orgasm. So I don't know, you two might not like that, but I wrote it. He thought it was very funny. So the idea is that you do this. So check the video. It's a famous speech that Kevin Costner did. Everybody talked about it at the time. And the other thing that Joel said that is just hilarious, he said, you know what? Nobody ever regrets having written. It's like nobody ever regrets going to the gym. And he would go, God damn, I shouldn't have gone to the gym. Made me laugh every single time. All right, we're going to go on to the next bit of advice, since you know about the evidence book. And if you don't know about the evidence book, visit my video, and then you'll understand what good evidence is. But a lot of people are into it now, and they bought the ebook. So track all your writing evidence, meaning if you put 10 minutes in, Give yourself good evidence credit for it. You know why? Because it made you feel good. Anytime you focus like that and you're doing something creative, even if it's not perfect, you feel better. And that's the point of good evidence. Anything you do or contribute to someone else makes you feel good. So you're uplifted after writing. You just used yourself. You just put yourself in a state of flow. A state of flow is a highly creative state. And there's a Russian psychologist that wrote a book on it that's about that thick. I don't recommend anybody trying to read it. Basically, he says, when we play tennis, when we are running, when we are creating art, when we are writing, teaching. I mean, I think I'm in a state of flow right now because I'm really focused and I'm really enjoying myself and I'm sharing. You lose yourself, and that's the state of flow, and it's very pleasurable. It's very pleasurable. So don't forget the state of flow. So when you give yourself good evidence credit, your subconscious will be inclined to write again. It's as if I could give a voice to the subconscious mind. The subconscious would, well, that was fun. That felt good. And then the habit creates momentum. Because I promise you, Stephen King has an amazing habit. That's what eventually the professional writers, they know how to sit down, they know how to get it done. John Grisham, oh my heavens, how this man produces writing. But you can build a habit. It's just like practicing the guitar. You get those chords and then you know those chords. So it builds new neural pathways. And this also that helped me go to a hypnotherapist for help because she helped me visualize and build new neural pathways for the writing. She helped me believe in this project. Now, I want you to know, as you're going deeper, any persistent thought that keeps popping up is an idea. It's not a coincidence. Pay attention to your thoughts in the shower, in the car. This happens randomly. It's when the subconscious starts to open up and deliver. So you want to pay attention. So the subconscious will provide you with answers, inspiration. I mean, I wrote some sitcoms with a partner a long time ago. We actually got an agent. This is my friend Karen, who I've mentioned to you that did pass away. But we were writing a sitcom, and we got to a problem with the plot, and we just couldn't figure out what to do. But I woke up one morning like at 5 a.m. and I understood what to do and how to fix the problem. And that's what can happen. It literally woke me up, and I went right into rewriting, and I sent her the pages and said, what do you think? So you want to be prepared when solutions and ideas pop up, and write them down, because you won't remember them. You'll think you remember them, you won't remember them. So start that habit. Just start paying attention. And here's the other thing. You can ask your subconscious questions. Seriously. You can say, like when I was working on this book, I'd say, okay, what do I do next? What happens next? What am I trying to convey here? So if you haven't started a kind of a large project like this, if it's a blog or if it's an article or a story, just ask yourself, what's the easiest idea to start working with? Don't pick War and Peace. Pick something that you can actually do and make it fun. And that's how you get sucked into the whole thing of writing. So someone said to me, very experienced person said to me, I had started this and I wasn't sure the direction. And so I had lunch with this man. He won a Pulitzer Prize. It's someone I knew from my childhood. And he said, well, if there were a story there, Carrie, what would it be? Well, that was another brilliant moment too. So I use that all the time. I help people with that. If there were a story there, what would it be? So you're opening up your subconscious. Now, I talked about listening a minute ago, and I will post this on community page. There's a wonderful little tiny book called Listening by a man named Lee Coit. And it's all about your subconscious speaking to you. It's a wonderful little book. You'll read it in an afternoon. So basically, the more you do something, the more you will do something. And you want to kick in the listening, because the listening is accessing the creative. I already told you, write it down. You won't remember the ideas. Now I'm going to give you something, we're almost at the end here. I'm going to give you something that's a little bit sophisticated, and this is just part 1. I got to do more because I could talk for an hour and a half here, and that's not a good idea, and people get tired anyway. So let's say you've written a paragraph, and it's that messy thing, and you just started it. Look at the middle of the paragraph or the story, because usually there's gold in the middle. And the reason is you start out writing messy, kind of maybe lousy pages, but by the middle, you're getting warmed up and you're not as judgmental and you start flow. And that's where you're going to probably find something really valuable that eventually you'll decide to start the paragraph with that. I hope that is clear. Look in the middle, because usually there's gold in the middle. And Joel Saltzman, I'm going to quote him again, he would say, you write shit, 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 and then there's gold, okay? So always look for your best sentence or your lead in the middle. There is gold in the middle. Don't edit while you're writing. It's one of my big things. Just write and get it down, get it down, get it down. Do not stop and go back. Do not stop and go back. A lot of writers do that. Just organize later. Get it down. Simple advice. Be very careful about repeating words and find words that are interesting and useful and apply. And there is a book I cannot live without. It's called Rodale's Thesaurus. So if I've used the word simply too many times, I go to Rodale's Thesaurus and I look up simply, and I've got like 10 alternatives to simply. I cannot tell you how many times Rodale's Thesaurus, I can't say it, has helped me. And I will put that in the community section. So I think this is all you can handle, because this is a lot of material. You might want to listen to it over and over. And like I said, you might know somebody who should watch this, who could benefit. So send them over to my left ear. I'll be back with politics. Now here's quotes. Here's 2 quotes on writing. They're not complicated quotes. One I just found last week. Here it is. Confusion is the welcome mat at the door of creativity. God, is that great? Confusion is the welcome mat at the door of creativity. And that is by a man named Michael J. Gelb, G-E-L-B. I do not know him. The second quote is kind of famous. For those who don't know, there was this extremely famous, funny writer named Dorothy Parker, and she wrote for Vanity Fair in the early days. She was part of what was known as the Round Table of intellectual writers in New York. And she wrote, "I hate writing. I love having written." And that is the voice of Dorothy Parker. And boy, do I relate that. I hate writing. I love having written. I think that's true. That's like, ow, I shouldn't have gone to the gym. A little bit like that, right? All right, so digest this. I'll probably wait a week or 2 before I post a part 2. And then I'll see you again about this messy, messy stuff that's going on. But I'll just leave you with this. We, my left ear and I, still expect both Ossoff and Warnock to win the Georgia runoff. And we almost have Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump to thank for that. They've just made a wonderful mess in Georgia. But the real hero is Stacey Abrams and all the people that she had on the ground, and that she had people sign up who didn't feel that they were important enough to vote. And they didn't vote in the main election, but now they're voting. So hold that good thought. Hold, wouldn't it be nice? And make peace, make memories. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye. Here we go. Bye-bye.